Hi, you guys are watching or listening to the Shift Training Podcast.
Where we talk about personal development, we talk about physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and just overall well-being.
And today we're just going to be sharing a few thoughts from this week and past week, some observations we've made, and we just want to share some things that we've learned with you guys. So I'll go first.
Oh, what'd you learn, Ma?
All right, bet. So these are more observations. I'm going to my phone because I write down some of the things that come to mind. I make notes of the observations and things. No, it's important. So there's this note I have in here that says, the perception of self has to be greater than one's identity.
Perception of self must be greater than your identity?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. So I'll explain this a little bit more. One thing I want to start with is that's hilarious. All right, so the thing I want to start with is essentially just pointing out you're not your identity. Very often we associate who we are with our identity. And if you haven't read the Untethered Soul yet, which we talked about in the previous podcast, I recommend you go read that. Learn some other principles, philosophies that help you understand that you're the observer, piloting your body and doing all these other great things and having these feelings, having these experiences, choosing the behaviors. There's a person that's listening, entity, watching and listening to all these things that are happening. Who is that? I would say that's the true you. So that's the short version, but read the book. And the reason why is because there are times where you might not want to fight for or love a particular identity that you associate with, but you should always be willing to fight for and love yourself.
Can you give us an example of that?
Gladly. So in regards to that, how many of you have ever said, old me would have done X, Y, Z, or old me handles things like this? So I say old law or Florida flip, these particular other characters may have given certain people different responses, right? Sometimes when you're too attached to a particular version of yourself, you're unwilling to carve away things that stop you from developing. You're unwilling to let certain elements or aspects of your behavior or even your value system die, so that way you may live and live more freely, more abundantly. So it's important to not attach our sense of self to a particular identity. Be willing to let that identity or version of you die so a new version of you can live. So you can upgrade and evolve in your life.
So kind of like a reborn.
Yeah.
In a way, rebirth.
Yeah. I mean, why keep all your previous iPhones if you just want the newest iPhone?
Right.
And imagine you had to carry all those previous iPhones everywhere you go.
Right. I think it's important to always re-examine our values, our identity, as you mentioned. I think it's really important because we'll die out. And as you keep learning, as you keep growing, I think it's important that you keep learning as well and grow.
Yeah, 1000%. So again, the whole idea is that your sense of self needs to be greater than identity. The identity can always be rebuilt, remade, whatever, changed, altered, upgraded. But if you associate self with identity, then you lower that. And that's when you say, oh, there's some, I got to make this change. There's nothing wrong with me.
Right.
That's when you start taking everything personally instead of realizing there's an opportunity for you to level up if you make some updates to the identity or behaviors or the way you're navigating things. It could always be different. It can always be better. But it's hard not to take it personally when you think self equals identity.
So self and identity is completely different.
Yep, not the same.
But your identity could always grow.
Yeah.
And yourself is
beyond
who you are compared to your identity.
Here's another way I put it. I think we talked about this when we talk about ego and alter egos. Different masks. Ego, alter ego, different masks. Right. We'll say identities, different uniforms or sets of clothes that you may wear.
Yeah.
So you wear those clothes, that behavior, that thought process, maybe that color of hair or whatever the heck it is, that style of, that's a particular identity.
Okay, so your true self is basically the higher power who was in service, was in, someone who's genuine, authentic.
Yep. True self wears the mask, whatever mask is necessary at a particular time,
Yeah.
and is willing to change their clothes and take a bath when necessary, instead of taking it personally when someone says, you might need to change that tie and you might need to take a bath.
All right. Sounds good.
You know what I'm saying? So, Vaughn, what about you?
Okay, so for me, what I've learned, well, this is something that I had to go back again because bad habit takes over sometimes. So what I've learned for me is that I was talking to this person, but I was hesitant. I was reluctant to talk to this person. So in my head, there's this voice was telling me that, oh, don't talk to this person, blah blah
They're too
blah.
cool.
They're too cool. They're smart or whatever it is. But once I put that label to that person, I disconnect already. But in my head, I was like, in the morning, I'm gonna choose courage. So what I did, took me a couple of minutes to have this negative talk, but I still went for it. I talked to this person, and incredibly, we have this connection. I just have to be curious and generally be curious, like I said, and just talk to this person like a human being. You don't label this person as someone who's higher or a celebrity or whatever it is. Once you start doing that, you start to disconnect. And
You created a barrier.
a barrier with that person. So I think my takeaway on that is I choose courage. Choose courage instead of timidity. I think timidity is what's going to stop you and hold you back from your growth.
Yeah, I think Susan David talks about all the time. A lot of the great emotional senseis, they talk about, choosing courage creating the space for new opportunity, right? New opportunity, growth, change, transformation.
Yeah, I think it's always better to go over a little bit because it's always easier to correct that. But if you never try it, you'll never really see what's up here
Right.
on the other side.
Right. You don't go to the peak, you can't possibly see what's
Yeah,
up.
exactly.
Cool. Tight. Question for you about that. So when you are thinking to approach or communicate with this person, when you choose courage, does that mean you don't feel afraid, or does that mean that you still feel afraid as you're walking to go engage that person?
I still feel afraid, but I still do it anyways. And then I feel like the fear is going to be there.
And then what about afterwards?
Afterwards, I feel great. I feel amazing that I've done it.
I think that's an important thing to note. Is like, often we may say, okay, I've chosen this and I'm going to have this gusto and this curse, this energy about it. And then you start moving towards it and you get scared, go, oh, no, I'm still scared. I can't do it. And in reality, it's like that energy that you're trying to summon, you can have a little bit of it before, but if you're scared and you're walking into it and you're scared, you're just going to be scared through it. But afterwards, you'll have that energy come back.
Yeah.
And I think too often we think that we have to have that type of, oh, I got it energy before we do it, when in reality, it comes after.
Yeah. It does really increases my confidence right after that. And the next time around, my realization. So when that happens again, I just got to remember what I did from that moment of, what I'm going to feel after or before.
100%. Playing the long game, not the short game. So I have one more.
All right, what is it?
All right, cool. So like I said, guys, I write stuff down and take little notes. So I was having a discussion last night, and we were talking about worthiness and building your self-esteem and having that credit and not really beating yourself up kind of deal. And this note I have about building credit with yourself is it's more than just doing the work. So something that we talk about, and we've spoke about this before, so if you haven't heard that episode or seen it on our social, basically, in order to earn credit with yourself, you want to build your self-esteem, you need to earn the credit with yourself. So what would you think is honorable or noble or hold in high regard? What is worthy of that respect and love and adoration? Now, you do that. Not based on values that you were told, but what values you actually think, or wow, when you see it in other people, whatever it is, embody that. Oh, gotta let that sneeze out. So you embody that, and take small steps and you build credit with yourself. One of the biggest ways to do this is honor your word, right?
Yeah.
But another component about earning credit with yourself, like I said, it's more than just doing the work. It's about trust, love, and a sense of safety. Those play a role as well. And I'll give an example from my own life. First, I want to ask you guys this question is there somebody in your life that it almost doesn't even matter what they ask you to do, you're down? Like you'll do it. And you don't really have any doubts or hesitation about it. Like you're just like,
yeah,
all right, they said it. This is what we're doing. Is there somebody like that in your life that you love greatly, or you feel loves you, and you'd be like, yeah, we're just gonna, whatever, we're gonna do this. I would say this is kind of an example, and then I'm gonna use myself as an example to kind of illustrate why that's an example. So for me in my life, one of those people is my grandmother. I love my grandmother dearly. She can say, I call her my granny. My granny can say anything. Doesn't even matter. I'll do it. I don't even care. Now, I usually question just about everything, and I always want to know what's the intention behind just about anything. But the one person where I probably almost just don't even care is my grandmother. And the reason why is because I have no doubts in my mind that she loves me. Now, she may have not made some great decisions along the way in her life, but she's also making adjustments in her life, making changes. I've constantly seen one consistent theme, and it's I will show love. I will be supportive. I will care. I will make sure you are doing well. This is important because when it comes to self-care and actually taking care of yourself, being well, without that element, it's going to be real hard for you to actually build credit with yourself because you don't trust yourself. You're not feeling that love from yourself, and you don't feel a sense of safety from yourself. So even if you do the work, if you're not showing yourself that love, that you're trustworthy, that you genuinely care for your own well-being, it's harder to believe the things that you say. So for example, I can tell myself, yo man, we got to go do this. And I'd be like, roger that. We have to go do it. The reason why is because I know that I am not going to intentionally try to sabotage myself. I know that I care and love myself.
Yeah.
And that makes it way easier to say and do things. It makes it way easier to continue to build credit with myself. So one thing about building your self-esteem is not just doing the work, but also be mindful of how you are showing care to yourself. If you're not taking care of yourself and you're doing the work, you still will be lacking the fullness of, true self-esteem, where you say it, it's already done. You said it, it's done. In your mind, it's already done.
Yeah.
You're just walking through the motions.
Yeah, that reminds me of what Michael Jordan said. It's a quote. He says, once I make a decision, I never look back.
Done.
And then that's how you build credit. And I think the way I picture that is, if someone is holding me accountable, like if I say I'm going to do this, and if I don't, then that's like disrespect. So same thing with myself. If I say something, if I don't do it, I feel like I'm disrespecting my own self.
That's right. You can't do that. Stop disrespecting yourself. Honor your word.
Exactly.
This is the way. Yeah, guys. So I think that's it. I just wanted to touch on that part of building self-esteem with yourself is consistently taking care of yourself and not allowing excuses to be made. And again, the moment you forget about your own behavior, just imagine if someone else were doing it. Imagine if this was like your closest friend, and your closest friend was like, yeah, let's do this and that. And your closest friend flaked out or bailed on you as much as maybe you flake or bail out on yourself. I don't think y'all will be friends very long.
That's right.
I just don't think so. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, and just don't forget that courage is a valuable tool that you can use, and timidity will hold you back from your potential.
1000%. Self-identity. Don't get attached to that identity. True self is higher than that identity. You can make 1 million identities, however many you need.
Million, that's a lot.
So, I mean,
Too much.
You got time, however many you need to make until you figure it out. You know
All
what
right,
I'm saying?
let's see it.
Wear all the costumes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody. I think that's it for me. Vaughn, you have
That's
anything
it
else?
for us.
All right. Where can they find us?
And if you haven't followed us on our social media, please follow us on Shift on Your Life. And don't forget to subscribe on Shift Training.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you. We appreciate you, and we hope that you have an amazing day. Peace.